Stuffs too, kitty. Kitty's right here on my lap, begging me to give him all the attention and ignore everybody else. All right. Hey, welcome to Game Time with Doc and Lurch. It's that time again. We are here every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we tell you anything and everything that's going on in the nerdosphere. Of course, we're part of Eclectic Endeavors, the people that bring you the Gaming Arts and Media Entertainment Expo and the Picnic at the End of the Universe, as well as Game Time at Holdfast Brewing Company and other game-related outings in the Ozarks. Um, Lurch is our Director of Electronic Gaming and co-chair of Eclectic Endeavors this year. I am
Yo,
I am the director of cross promotions and panel director this year. We will be having our convention the 14th, 15th, and 16th of October at the Springfield Expo Center. And for just $10, you can get in for the entire weekend. So it's a really great deal. And as we updated you guys last week, we will have an art show. We do have the art show confirmed now. We're also preliminarily working on getting somebody to run the costume contest. So we'll see what happens there. But as of this time, we do not still have a costume contest on the docket, but we're working on it. If you'd like to volunteer and help us make some of these things happen, join the Eclectic Endeavors group on Facebook, and we'll keep you updated about when we have meetings and everything for game. And if you want to take on some of these responsibilities, it'll help us make this the best last game of this series, because we are doing this as the final chapter in game. Game 12, which will actually, if we counted the 2 years we took off for COVID, would make it game 14. But it's game 12 will be the last convention by that particular moniker. Um, so come on out, have some fun, play some games, and hang out with nerdy people. It's in October. It should be far enough along that most of us should be a little bit more comfortable about going out in public in the bigger groups like this again. Uh, and we hope to see you there. Anyway, we've got a few things in the show in store for you this week. But first off, let's go ahead and get a sound check going. I'm going to just bring up my sound monitor page real quick. If my cat doesn't claw the bejesus out of my stomach, that is. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Check 1 2, check 1 2.
check, check, check,
Check
check,
1
check,
2, check 1 2.
check, check, check,
Check
check,
1
check.
2. Hey, that's nice, and hardly any lag whatsoever. Great. Love this new internet system. I am with Quantum Fiber. For if anybody wants a good internet here in the Springfield area, Lurch turned me on to Quantum Fiber. Now I'll turn you guys onto it as well. So if you want good, reliable internet, Quantum Fiber, I think, is the way to go. Uh, and let's get back to the topics for the day. We're going to go ahead and get started, though. And as usual, I'm going to let Lurch start us off. And he's going to start it off with everything Sony showed at the PlayStation Big State of Play event.
Yeah, so I mentioned last week how PlayStation was doing a state of play later in the week last week on Thursday, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to go over some of the things that they revealed or that they kind of showed off. They opened up the show with a preview for a remake, or basically a remake for Resident Evil 4 for modern consoles, PS5, Xbox Series X. And they also announced it's going to have some VR functionality in it as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They didn't show anything VR related for this game. Well, they didn't show VR stuff for this game at this, but they said there'll be some VR. I think they might have shown a few seconds of VR. They also did show Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy. I'll get to that in a minute. Resident Evil Village is getting a VR update. They also showed that they also did a preview for a game called Stray, which is a game where you're playing as a cat. Got to see a little bit more gameplay of that. You're able to wander around in these kind of spooky streets. It looks like it's a stealth game trying to hide from these robot things and robotic rodents and stuff as you make your way around this kind of futuristic, cyberpunky sort of city as this stray cat. They announced Spider-Man 2018 is remaster is going to be released on PC in August. It's been a PlayStation exclusive since it came out. August 12th, it will be releasing finally on PC. They showed some gameplay for Street Fighter 6. It has some open world exploration elements, which is new to the Street Fighter franchise. The art style and the combat looks freaking cool. I'm not even a big Street Fighter fan, and I thought it looked great. The thing that has me the most sold on it, though, the thing I have against Street Fighter, what I don't care for Street Fighter, is I think their input mechanics are a little bit too complicated for their special moves and whatnot. I love the Mortal Kombat games and the Injustice games. I even I love Tekken, but something about the way Street Fighter controls.
Well,
I've never been a big fan of.
You do have to give credit though, because a lot of those combinations and stuff that Mortal Kombat and Tekken and everything got their start from Street Fighter. So Street Fighter was the original super combat game. And yeah,
I'm not sure if that's true.
It was, well, there was, because we had Street Fighter came out before Mortal Kombat did. And then Mortal Kombat came out, and it had, streamlined, but it also came up with the 100-hit combos and the finisher, fatality stuff. And their combos were a little different, but Street Fighter came out first with the Super Combat games, and then there was, of course, that other little fighting game that never really caught on, the Neo Fighter that came out. But
yeah, I guess Street Fighter 2 is slightly older than Mortal Kombat, but
and Street Fighter 1, of course, is older than that.
Yeah, but I don't think Street Fighter 1 is that kind of fighting game anyway.
Well, Street Fighter 1, you were limited. You could only basically play Ken and Ryu.
Yeah.
You didn't have all the other characters you could play. It wasn't until Street Fighter 2 came out that you suddenly had Blanca and Chun-Li and everything.
The original Street Fighter game was just a single-player game, against the CPU with just Ryu and Ken. Wasn't really. It's not really what you think of as a fighting game, really.
You could play Versus, because I used to play it.
Did you on the Street Fighter?
But you basically played Ken or Ryu, and that was it.
Yeah.
If you played the Versus mode, it was Ken versus Ryu.
Yeah. So I mean, the original Street Fighter game, the original Street Fighter games like Street Fighter 2, I don't think was too bad, but I feel like the combat, the mechanics for the controls just got too complicated. Mortal Kombat, I felt, was a little bit more simplified for the special moves, and where the combat became more based on, when to use which moves rather than remembering, rather than pulling off. Also, Street Fighter games, especially newer ones, tend to be more designed for the arcade stick, so you're able to draw out the shape of a letter Z with your joystick, which is a little harder to do on a D-pad or an analog stick.
That's because Street Fighter is really still designed as a cabinet game. Even though it's on a console, it's still designed for the cabinet, where Mortal Kombat was designed, in the cabinet era, but it was already prepping for the console. So Mortal Kombat takes into account that a lot of people are going to be using D-pads instead of joysticks. And at the time that Street Fighter 2 came out, they had the PlayStation, or not the PlayStation, but they had the Nintendo joystick that even had a programmable button on it that you could program a sequence so that you could do like a combo by a one button press combo. Because I know I used to do it at home. I programmed the combos for like Chun Li onto it,
Yeah.
and that was the
So
thing. But yeah,
yeah.
Mortal Kombat was more optimized for a console game as opposed to a cabinet game.
So anyway, they did reveal though. They did announce that the new Street Fighter 6 game is going to have, traditional controls, but there's also going to be a simplified control scheme as well that you can choose.
That's cool.
That's supposed to make a little easier for people to get the combos. And the way they describe it makes it sound a little bit more like a Smash Brothers type of control scheme. So I'm digging the sounds of that.
I don't know. I'm just call me old school here, but like I don't do first person shooters and I don't do that. But RPGs and some combat games I did do, and I was a competitive level Street Fighter player for many years.
Yeah.
In the cabinets, not on the consoles, but on the cabinets. I played competitively in tournaments.
Yeah.
Uh,
Back when it was the Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 3 era.
yes,
Did
I
you play
played.
Street Fighter 4 or 5?
No, not in competition, but I did play 2 and 3, and I played Blanca and Chun Li were my two main characters,
Yeah.
and I was really really good.
I liked using Blanca quite a bit back in the old days.
I loved Blanca's shock attack. That was just badass. I even used to know how to draw Blanca from memory. Although it's been so
Oh,
long now, I probably would have to look at a picture again. But I used to draw Blanca, so it was great. And of course, what's her name from Smallville played in the live action Chun Li movie.
yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. What's her name? Kirsten Kruick, I think?
Kruick, yeah. She played Chun Li, and that wasn't an absolute disaster, although it wasn't the success they were hoping for. But then she went on to be in Beauty and the Beast, the TV series reboot, and she did better in that. But it
I
was
know there
nice
was
to
a TV
see
series reboot.
of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there was a new one, and Kruick was the main character in that one. She played the character that was played by what's her name in the original with Ron Perlman, where Ron Perlman was the Beast, is in the original TV series for Beauty and the Beast. But then the remake had Kruick in it, and that was right after The Legend of Chun Li came out. So yeah, she went from Smallville to Legend of Chun Li to that, and she was
Gotcha.
more successful in that.
Okay. Well, anyway, there's also this new game, this totally new game I had, that was a premiere announcement for a game called Roller Dome, which is like, it's a roller skating action shooting combat game. It's kind of like picture the story of the movie The Running Man or the book The Running Man. You know, people are
Actually,
competing in dystopian future, killing other people. That's kind of what this is, Roller Drome.
it also reminds me of what's it called, Rollerball or whatever, the sci-fi movie.
Yep.
And the character on the picture here
So,
looks a lot like Speed Racer.
so I guess, yeah. So I guess it's kind of like Rollerball, only, I mean, with guns.
Right?
And it looks like a ton of fun. I gotta say, it was a kind of come out of nowhere, big surprise. It looks like a ton of fun. They announced that Tunic is coming to PlayStation. That was a big hit on the Xbox Game Pass a few months ago. Coming to PlayStation in September.
They've got the Callisto Protocols.
One that got me yeah, Callisto Protocol, which I didn't have much in anticipation for this one until this trailer that they put out for the State of Play. Callisto Protocol is the new game being developed by Visceral Games, who created the Dead Space games. Did you ever play those?
No, I didn't play the Dead Space games, but I do like the sound of it.
I loved Dead Space, and this is like the spiritual successor to Dead Space. And it's coming out in December. God, it looks so creepy and so great. It's just like third person space horror
Right.
shooting
Very,
game.
yeah, very, what you call it? I can't think of the name of the movie right now, but yeah,
It looks terrifying.
yeah. And
What's
then
fun?
Final Fantasy 16 State of Play
What?
video too.
Yeah. So something that's funny is this is being developed by the team that made Dead Space originally, but the company who owns Dead Space has recently announced that they're doing a remaster or whatever remake of the original Dead Space. It's coming out in January, and now we just got this announcement of Callisto Protocol coming out in December. So the original Dead Space creators are putting out their own new game just a few weeks before the remake of their first game comes out. This new indie game called Season: A Letter to the Future was announced. It didn't really speak to me much, but I'm sure it's going to have its own audience. Eternights looked interesting. Eternights is this new game they announced that is like they described it as an action game mixed with a romance game. So it's got like a dating sim / action combat. Like here it says right here on this article, at Kotaku.com, Eternights is a dating game. It's also an action game. Because why can't we all find love while at the same time uppercutting demons in the face, coming to both PS4 and PS5? I'm not sure what to say about that one. It looks interesting. I'm gonna look into that a little bit more as more is revealed. I'm not sold on it yet, but I could be sold on it. You know what I mean? It seems like it's got some interest, or interesting parts about it. And there was one other indie game I feel like that was mentioned. No, I think I got all the indie stuff. Saving what I feel like to me is the best for last, and that is Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 16. I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward
This
to.
looks so damn good. Final Fantasy 16 that showed off gameplay, the music, or it showed a lot of the summons, the Acons, and it looked like they were fighting each other and with health bars and everything. It almost looked like a fighting game at one point between the summons, battling it out against each other.
Aeons versus Aeons.
Yeah, Aeons against Aeons, and it
Nice.
was freaking so cool. And the song was incorporating the names of the Aeons in it. It's like
Oh,
Chiba, da 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 da, Bama, da 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 da, Everett, da 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 da. Oh, it was so freaking hype. Oh man.
I love the Aeons is of course, or whatever you want to call them in the different Final Fantasies. They gave them
Yeah.
some different names, but
Yeah,
Aeon was
Acons. I
my
think they're calling them Acons in this one, but yeah.
Aeons was Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, I remember.
And
Um,
that was my favorite name for him. And
the
Baphomet
the
was
story of this game is being written by the same people who wrote the story to Final Fantasy XIV, especially like the later parts of the story. They didn't write the first original base game, but they wrote the story for almost all the expansion packs, as I understand it. And I gotta say, that is some quality damn writing that they did for that game. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that team does in a single player experience, you know?
right.
Oh, it's so great.
I want to see some of the gameplay, even if with the sound off,
Oh,
while
there you go.
we're at it.
So it's a very action-oriented combat system.
I mean,
It looks
Final
like
Fantasy's just cutscene graphics are great.
oh god, yeah.
Oh, look at that angel! Oh, Bahamut!
Yeah. So the angel was Shiva.
Right, but the Bahamut looks like just an updated version of the Bahamut from 10, which is great because that was like my favorite version of Bahamut.
Look at that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right? And of course, like, we don't have any idea what's going on with the story here. Don't know the names
No,
of anything.
but oh, look at those curved blades. I love it. Bladed curved tonfas. They're awesome. Oh, and the beasts look much more realistic. Look at those graphics.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, man.
So we got Titan, Shiva,
Oh,
Bahamut, Odin, Efreet,
Ifrit,
Phoenix,
yeah.
and I'm pretty sure there's a part where an Efreet punches another Efreet in the face. Oh yeah, Rama, Garuda.
Oh, look at the knight.
Yeah, the knight is Odin.
Odin.
Da da da.
Ifrit's
This
scatter
motherfucker here,
shot is awesome.
this dude with the beard.
Titan,
He's
Garuda,
saying.
Shiva, Odin, Bahamut, Ifrit. Oh, man.
There's like one last little bit at the very end, but yeah.
Still,
Oh,
that was badass. Oh, I can't wait. I mean, I hope I'm around when it comes out. Then I got to go to somebody's house that has a PlayStation
they
5
announced
and watch.
the release window for Final Fantasy 16 is summer 2023.
Like I said, I'm hoping I'm still alive and kicking, because then I might have to come over to your house and play. Because you're the only person I know that's got a PS5.
I'm sure you'll know a few more people by summer.
Maybe, yeah.
2023.
I don't know. I don't get out much anymore. But that's badass. I love it. Okay. Well.
Yeah, that wraps up my PlayStation State of Play coverage. That's my big story. The other things I'm going to talk about are much smaller.
Okay.
I know
Well,
this one was a little bit of a longer one, but God, there's just so much.
you know, we showed some great graphics there, so I think the next I'm going to show a little bit of graphics from the Fractured game I've been playing. I played just a little snippet of it earlier today and recorded it with some zoom in and stuff. I have my sound turned off because I don't play with sound anyway. But I can like talk common as I have it playing on the screen. I'm going to switch over to a different screen though, so they can get a full screen kind of experience out of it. Let's see, there's that. Let me bring up my media player screen. There you go. First off, as you see, it opens up. I'm on a bridge right over the water. Shows you some great graphics here. And there, this is me coming up on the bridge.
Ooh.
I'm running across with my character.
This game's really coming together.
Yeah, I'm zooming in and out so you can see it at different zoom levels.
Yeah. I remember when you first showed me this game, I was like, oh, these visuals are terrible. But, I mean, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, but yeah, I pre-recorded this so I could show you some of the stuff, but I wouldn't like risk killing myself while I was trying to talk and play at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm fighting this guy. For some reason, I managed to catch him in a spot where he wouldn't come out at me, so I had to come closer. That's a storm primeling. Primelings are like minor elementals. They look like rock crabs, but they do drop gold and the other elemental type reagents that you need. You know, because it's got a pile of gold and then primordial dust and storm essence is what I've just picked up off of him, and that one's got the same stuff. Great thing about this game is you don't find gold on, like, for instance, wolves and bears and stuff. You know, you wouldn't expect a wolf or a bear to have gold. You'd expect it to have claws and teeth and fur and, you know, beast blood. and those are the things that you get off of like a wolf or bear. Gold only comes off of like either humanoids or like elementals and undead. They have gold. So goblins have gold, trolls have gold, elementals like these guys. This is a regular storm elemental that I'm fighting here, and he looks pretty badass. And then there's a bigger version of him that I'm going to go fight here in a minute. Um, First thing, I'm going to fight another Primeling and get a little bit of my energy back. Uh, as you see, I'm down to about half of my mana at this point. Oh, also, when you memorize your set of abilities, they stay there so you don't have to necessarily fill your hot button. You can swap out ones as long as you have memory space. So you don't have to wait to like rest at a fire to just swap out the ones on your hotkey. You can have a little bit more than what fits on your hotkey, which is what I just showed off there, because I traded out my Cure Poison for a teleport. And I fight him, and he's just another one like I was fighting before. Primordial Dust and Gold. Now I'm going to run down and around. Let's see. Here we go. And I'll go up against another one of those primelings before I fight a big elemental. I activated what's my thorn armor. There is what this spikes coming off of me is. It does damage as they hit me. It's good for taking care of them. I activated that in case he was attacking me. And the other guy I got an aggro range of, but looks like I stayed just out of aggro range of him, so I'm able to.
Nice.
Then there's the big elemental. It looks like an oversized version of the one I just beat a little bit ago, but get a little bit of a close up on. And shoot my magic missiles. That's where you saw those streaming white things. That's my main spell of choice.
Magic missiles?
Yes, because it shoots like 6 bolts that always hit.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some spells that counter it. Like there's a armor
Magic
spell
missile
that
always hits, even if you fire it into the darkness.
That's right. As long as you can identify a target, you can do magic missile on it. But like there's some bandits in the game, the bandit spellcaster that activates a magic shield that they use, and it automatically just stops the magic missile from going. Magnetic gravel is one of the things he dropped, which is actually a rarer reagent. So I actually lucked out there.
You know what's funny? The very first game I ever played that had a magic missile that I can remember in my mind anyway. Okay, so now typically in games, in video game forms, magic missile is presented as kind of like a white orb or some sort of a colored orb that hits you, right?
Right.
The first game I can remember ever playing a game that had magic missile was a Digimon game, and in Digimon, magic missile basically magically conjured up what looked like a mechanical metal missile that would launch and explode.
Yeah.
And so that's how I pictured. So that was my exposure to magic missile in video game form, and then I played D&D and was told that we had magic missiles and that, and I was like, wait, how do these people even know what missiles are?
Well, remember, missile just means a projectile.
Yeah, I didn't like put that together back then. That's whenever I was thinking it was, you know.
Yeah, something more technological. Yeah. I backtracked it because of you talking, but like you get to see riding on a horse. Because I jumped up on my mount. I'm also wearing full scholar's cloth armor, which is magical. I show a teleport right here because there's an error in this particular thing that won't let you walk through there. So I teleported through it. So you get to see a teleport. And then I show you, as the last little thing I show you is how we build the campfire, which takes 10 stones and 5 branches. And it basically lets you do like a reset so I can go and sleep at the campfire. Which instantly fills all your health and a portion of your mana. And then you can change your presets for both your talents and your skills. You can also cook at your campfire, and I do some cooking. And that's pretty much it. So, that's mostly all I show you off in this particular video. But it's a little bit of an update. We just had a free weekend. Or yeah, it was actually more like a free, like 5 or 6 days where anybody could have gone and played. And I had meant to put a link for that last, like 2 weeks ago before it happened, and then I forgot until it was too late. But when they do the next free week, I'll actually post a link beforehand and let everybody know so they can come in and try a free sample play for a few days. But it's a great game. I'm enjoying it immensely. You still with me there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go on to your next topic. But I did want to make sure, because I'd been talking about doing a little bit of a teaser of Fractured actual gameplay. So I actually recorded some today just for you guys because it's such a great game. And they just put a new update in this morning that added some quality life stuff for the chat, which I didn't show off because I don't use a chat. It's too small of a font for me to really comfortably use. But they also did another level of town membership that gave a little bit more secure stuff so that you could give what's called a trusted citizen role to people in your town, that they can like do things like manage crops and access certain crafting stations that you can restrict from everybody else. But anyway, here we go with your next topic, which is the first teaser for Sandman
Yeah.
and Geeked Week.
For some of those that may be unfamiliar, The Sandman is a graphic novel by Neil Gaiman, who you may know from things like Coraline, or
American Gods.
Yeah, American Gods. He wrote a book on Norse mythology that's phenomenal.
He wrote the Anansi Boys.
Huh?
The Anansi Boys, which is a short novella about the African spider spirit and his sons.
Yeah. Neil Gaiman's been around forever. He's got a ton of amazing stuff out there, including the Sandman graphic novels.
And he's one of those creators that actively goes on the convention circuit. So he actually likes to come out and meet fans.
Yeah. And it is finally, at last, getting its own show. Which is funny, because for those of you who like... Neil Gaiman is the creator of Lucifer, the version of Lucifer that we have on the TV series of Lucifer. He created that character.
The DC version of Lucifer, yes.
Yeah, and that Lucifer is actually a spinoff from the Sandman.
Right.
He's introduced in the Sandman graphic novels, and then was popular enough that he got his own set of graphic novels himself.
And then he also crossed over with Constantine and Zatanna and a couple of the other Justice League Dark characters.
Yeah, I mean, the Sandman, it has some crossover with other DC characters as well.
Yeah, because they're all in the DC Vertigo imprint for Justice League Dark.
And so anyway, Sandman, whose character's name is Morpheus. The Sandman is kind of like the title.
It's Orpheus, not
King of Dreams.
It's not Morpheus, it's Orpheus without the M.
It's spelled with an M.
Oh, well, it's usually done as Orpheus, if I remember from the actual graphic novels. But
the graphic novel actually makes a very strong point of having every member of his family first letter of their name being an M.
Because I could have sworn it was Orpheus. Oh well. Anyway, neither here nor
Anyway,
there.
yeah. So the show seems to be like Neil Gaiman is being very hands-on with the production of the show. I'm curious how close it's going to stick with the show or with the books. In the books, it starts off with him, being captured a few decades ago in a cage, and it causes all kinds of problems with the dream realm. And then he eventually breaks free and, gets his revenge on the people who captured him, and then has to go out and collect the things that were stolen from him and repair what's gone wrong in the dream realm. The show's going to star Tom Sturridge as Dream, Gwendolyn Christie as Lucifer. Well, Dream is also another name for Morpheus, too. He has a bunch of names.
Right.
Kirby Howell Baptiste as Death, Mason Alexander Park as Desire, and Donna Preston as Despair. Oh, that's what it is. They make a big point about how all of them have a name that starts with the letter D. That's what it was. Anyway, also for those that aren't familiar, the idea of Morpheus of this like Lord of Dreams is kind of an old myth thing, and was the inspiration for the character Morpheus in what's that? The Matrix.
The Matrix, yeah.
I don't know why it's so hard for me.
That's how, yeah. Lawrence Fishburne's character.
It's no accident. It's the same name. The Matrix was about Morpheus helping break someone out of the dream world of the Matrix. That was a large part of what that character's role was, and there's no coincidence in the name being the same.
Yeah, and then the esoteric concepts of like the living personification of death and dreams and stuff is also similar to a Piers Anthony set of novels, which were called The Incarnations of Immortality. And in there were personifications of death and time and fate and war and good and evil. Yeah. And he wrote them in a modern day fantasy where magic and science were both existing at the same time on the planet. And they also were very reminiscent of the concepts that you see in the Sandman.
Yeah. So the teaser trailers got me pretty excited, and the show premieres in August 5th, which being Netflix, I'm expecting to get all the show episodes, or maybe all but the last few episodes. I don't know.
All or half or something like that, yeah.
What's that?
It'll be all or half or something like that.
Yeah, it might be half like they did with Lucifer and with Stranger Things, which the last season of Stranger Things was so damn good.
Or like when they did the ranch, they did half at a time.
Separate news, but in similar vein, Netflix also put out a teaser trailer for Wednesday, a new series about Wednesday Addams from the Addams Family.
Actually, they got a bunch of stuff going on for what they call Geeked Week.
Yeah.
Wednesday is one of them. There's also another, the School of Good and Evil, is also going to be coming out, which is a book adaptation from a young adult fantasy series. And
the Book of Good and Evil?
The Book of Good and Evil. And that's also part of the Geeked Week announcements. So
I missed that one.
Yeah, no, as I was following up on what you told me about Wednesday and stuff, I caught that one too. So I looked it up, and then that eventually led me to somehow got me into checking up on the Powerpuff Girls movie or series. But I don't want to necessarily backtrack to find out what all connections I was making, but that was one of them. So yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on having to do with their Geeked Week extravaganza. They're going to have a lot of things that are directly related to geekdom and the nerdosphere. So it's going to be pretty great when that stuff comes out. And I did read up on the Wednesday thing. Among other things, Christina Ricci is going to reprise. It was not going to reprise. she's going to be in the Wednesday series, but they have not released who she's going to be yet.
Okay. That's awesome.
Luis Guzman is going to be Gomez Adams. And
who's going to be Morticia?
Morticia is, I think it was Catherine Zeta-Jones is who I saw was going to be Morticia Adams. So we got some pretty good cast members showing up in Wednesday. And basically it's when Wednesday goes to the Nevermore Academy. And so it's basically Wednesday in her boarding school years. But the headmistress of the academy is like a dark ex-classmate of Morticia's. And there's a little bit of rivalry there. And I don't remember who was playing that character, but it's going to have some other great characters in it. Just like the School of Good and Evil is going to have Lawrence Fishburne in it, as an example. And I think it was Charlize Theron is going to be in it as well. So we've got some great stuff coming at us when it comes to nerd movies and series. And Netflix is fully embracing it, as is, of course, HBO Max being in the Warner Brothers family. They embraced the Warner Brothers DC shows, and Disney Plus gives us our Marvel shows. So we're getting hit from multiple sides. There was something else too. I think it was the Sandman. One of them had Millar as one of the creative talents behind it, and I think it was Sandman.
Who?
Miller from the Millerverse.
Oh, yeah.
Millar is supposed to be involved with, I think it's Sandman. It might have been Wednesday. It's either Wednesday or Sandman that Millar is going to actually be involved with. So that just gets better and better too, because we really like Millar. And then
I could see it, but I would imagine he'd be working on something based on his own properties, because he's got several graphic novels that Netflix is talking about turning into shows.
Right. Another one, speaking of things that are coming out, since it kind of relates to this story, as you were talking about, you just started watching the first 3 episodes of season 3 of The Boys that just dropped. And on June 22nd, we get the next season of Umbrella Academy. So this month we get Umbrella Academy too. So busy month for us.
I gotta still watch the first season. I haven't watched it yet.
The first or second season of Umbrella Academy?
Yeah, I have not watched any of it yet. I read some of the graphic novels.
They're good.
I decided to read some of the graphic novels before watching it, and then I read them and then never got around to watching the show.
Oh, they're really good.
The books are good, though. The books are really good. So I need to.
The series is, at least the first season is really good. I'm not as interested in the second season. It didn't grab me as much. But the first season's really good, and I'm looking forward to the third season, which, like I said, is coming out on the 22nd. So we've got a lot of other things like that. Not only that, but The Boys also had a cartoon come out. Which was Diabolica.
On Amazon, I forgot
was
about
The
it.
Boys Diabolica, and it's a bunch of like short story cartoon things in their superhero universe. And it really, really dead interesting. It's fun, in a morbid, gory kind of fun way, not in a safe family kind of fun way. It is The Boys after all. So
I forgot how violent that show was until.
Oh my God!
I was watching. I was like, "Fuck!"
Buckets o' blood, yes. But it is definitely not for kids. It is not your kids' show. It is an adult superhero series.
A superhero show.
But we've got so much more of this kind of stuff coming out. So And then other updates, they have not confirmed either the killing of or the completion of the new CW show that they've been working on with Diggle, David Ramsey's character. The one where he's supposed to take the superhero U or whatever it's called. That has him gathering up 5 metahumans and teaching them to be the next generation of superheroes. They have not killed off the show yet, so it's, as far as we know, it is still in the works. And David Ramsey's contract supposedly has him not only finish, working on that as the lead, but also it means that he will come back and be doing some more directorial stuff in Superman and Lois and The Flash. So, and the episodes, the few that he has done have been really good. So I'm looking forward to seeing David Ramsey do some more in the Arrowverse while we still have the Arrowverse. And possibly they might be working on another 1 to 2 Arrowverse related spin-offs, including a possible Stargirl spin-off, but we're not absolutely sure. But those are all things in the rumor mill that I'm like keeping an ear out for, because what is it, the Seven Soldiers or whatever might get their own like spin-off from Stargirl, or some of the other Silver Age characters of which the Stargirl sub-universe is more based around. Some more classic Silver Age comics. It basically, in my opinion, anything that Greg Berlanti wants to put his finger on generally does well. One of the problems I think Naomi had is that Berlanti really wasn't touching it much.
Maybe.
It was done by his studio, but he wasn't really actively involved with the production. And I think that and their decision to completely divorce it from the CW as a whole made it not work as much, because it didn't fit into the same thing that us CW fans were looking for. And hey, it didn't even make a second season, so there's the. Now part of that is the whole Warner Discovery thing, but the ramifications of that are still going through in ripples, so we don't know what all is going to happen there. Anyway, we talked quite a bit about this. I'm looking forward to Sandman. I'm chomping at the bit looking forward to Sandman, as I know Lurch is as well.
Yeah.
Pretty soon we're not going to have any hours in the day left, because we're going to have back-to-back series to watch.
No kidding.
We'd be like, wait a minute, we're supposed to work sometime, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, you are anyway. I'm disabled, but it makes it kind of hard when there's only 24 hours in the day and they expect us to work 8 of them.
Yeah.
Most people, anyway.
I have to work more. I worked earlier today, and I got to work some more tonight.
Yeah.
Deadline to make.
Oh, geez, I hate that. Okay, well, we're going to move on. And this is going to be to my Kickstarter topic of the week. In this case, we're going to do, it's a limited or a luxury edition of a popular board game. I want to call it a board game, although it's slightly like a combination between a board and a tile game, because you build the board out of tiles, kind of like how Settlers of Catan is built, where you lay out those pentagonal or sectagonal pieces together. Actually, hexagonal, I think, is what Settlers is. The hexagonal pieces get laid out to make the island.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Settlers of Catan, I think that's a hex.
Yeah, they're hexagonal. Well, Tesoro has square tiles that you build to kind of make a roadmap kind of thing. And this is a special edition set with a nice custom carved lacquered box and carved pieces and cast metal pieces of the dragons for the players, and a nice silk kind of bag with the standard pieces, but there's also an actual fold out play mat that you put the pieces on as you're playing, and instead of a board. And it's the classic game with the new pieces and stuff, but it's a collector's edition for people who like to get a little bit of upscale version of a very, very popular board game. I know Greg would be one that would want this, and it looks like the case is laid out really nice for collectors who want to make something special of one of their favorite games. Even the rules are rolled up as a scroll. I really like that too. And the scroll, if you look at it, is like one of those tatami sushi rolling mats. If you can see real close, the texture of the scroll looks like one of the tatami sushi rolling mats. So it's really awesome, and it's funded. They only were looking for 80,000, and they've already made 121,000. So they've made half again as much as they were asking. Almost, a little over 350 backers so far, and there's 23 days to go on it. Now, if you back the project, and I had, again, like last week, I hadn't checked what the backer levels were, but for a $350 pledge, you get the luxury limited edition. Now, that seems like a lot, but when you remember that it's got a custom carved wooden case, they're cast pewter dragon figures, and the silk line bag and everything, it being a luxury edition, $350 is not necessarily a lot of money for that. And you can get 2 sets for $700. And you can always pledge without a reward, as you can always do with any Kickstarter, just to be part of it. But if you're really into collecting high-end board games, Tesoro is one of those games. I love playing it. It's a strategy path building game that you're trying to compete with up to 3 other players by blocking moves, by how you set the tiles down and such. And like I said, the miniatures look stunning. I mean, I would just want these dragon miniatures just for the miniatures myself. I mean, I've already done my Kickstarter backing for the year. In fact, I even had to contact, not a Kickstarter, but I got charged for another annual membership on an MMO. I'm not even, EverQuest, which I'm not even paying, but they charged me even though I thought I'd turned off auto renewal, and I had to contact them to get them to reverse that because of my fixed budget. On the good side of things, they did it in I put the request in, and like 11 minutes later I had a refund. So they were on the ball. I got to give Daybreak Studios for that one. And their email was all apologizing for how long it took to handle my case 11 minutes later. So I got to say that's a quality company when you consider that. I get the complaint in, and 11 minutes later I get my refund. And they apologize because they took so long. I was like, that's a quality act right there. You can't really beat customer support like that.
Yeah.
But this is for those of you who are looking for something like a gift item for a board game aficionado friend of yours, a gift item that if you want to get them a little bit higher end collector's item type of gift, this is something you might want to consider. Like I said, if I was thinking of getting a really high end gift and had the budget for it for like Greg Pullman, this would be something that I would consider because I know Greg would appreciate it. So if you've got a big board game player in your circle of friends, you might want to check to see if Tesoro is something. And if you're looking at spending some like $350 on something, like this isn't something I would get for Lurch, for instance. If I was going to spend $350, it would probably be electronic game related.
Yeah.
But for a board game fan, this would be something that I think they would really enjoy. And that's my Kickstarter recommendation for the week. And we're going to move on to Lurch's next topic. The Capcom Digital Showcase, June 13th, which is just around the corner.
Yeah, so I want to make sure to remember, Xbox has their showcase. Xbox and Bethesda has a showcase this upcoming Thursday. And then they also apparently are going to have a second showcase, I think, on Saturday or Sunday. I forget which day it was. Then, in addition to that, Capcom just announced that they're doing their own digital showcase on June
Monday.
13th. On Monday. So, over the next week, we've got a lot of stuff that is
a lot of video game goodness.
Mm-hmm. It's reveal season.
35 minutes, so it's not a huge show, but it's not terrible either. I mean, if it's 3 p.m. Pacific, which means it'll be about 5 o'clock our time. Yeah.
5 o'clock Central. It's longer than that PlayStation State of Play was, and that was an awesome State of Play. It was like 29 minutes.
Yeah, this is only going to be 6 more minutes of it. And like these other shows, that you can always watch them afterwards on YouTube. Or if you're a subscriber to their Twitch channel, you can go back to their Twitch archives and watch it. Current line-ins include an announcement for Street Fighter 6.
It's curious that Capcom is doing their own showcase when they were such a heavy impact on the PlayStation State of Play. Because, at the State of Play, they had Resident Evil, 2 different Resident Evil games, and they had
Street Fighter 6.
Showed off there. But they still feel they have enough content to show to do their own private event as well, their own private showcase. So
they're probably going to go into a little bit more depth and include a couple more titles, I would assume.
Exactly. I'm hoping they show us some of their VR2 stuff in a little more depth, and then maybe show us, some other content about their other games that wasn't shown before.
They're supposed to be at least talking about some of the reality support and development for the PlayStation VR2 and expansion and components for Resident Evil Reverse.
Yeah, which Reverse was not shown at all at the PlayStation State of Play.
And neither was Resident Evil 4, was it?
It was Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil Village both were. In fact, so Resident Evil Village, I think the VR version of that is going to sell really well. And you know why?
Why?
Because people are horny for the big lady on Resident Evil Village. And people being able to replay that in VR, being able to look up, like literally look up at this giant lady.
Right.
I don't know if you remember that, but there was like all kinds of memes and everything and videos going around. The Resident Evil community was all kinds of horny for the big woman on Resident Evil Village.
This is what you call nerd porn. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like a 9-foot-tall giantess that...
it's like the Attack of the 50-Foot Lady movie. It was a terribly made movie, but it was watched like crazy back when it came out because the nerds were like, "Oh wow, giant lady!" Ha!
Yeah. So
Kaiju lady.
I can see that. I can see that being a huge hit in VR with all these guys just like, "Oh look."
Speaking of nerdy stuff, another thing that's supposed to be coming back to TV, I was just reminded of, is True Blood. HBO is supposed to be getting new episodes of True Blood. So that's another thing that's in the works.
I wonder if that's why Legacies was canceled.
Who knows?
Because isn't that Legacies a spinoff?
No, Legacies is a spinoff of Vampire Diaries.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Similar
I'm.
similar shows, but not exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vampire Diaries spun off to the originals, which then spun off to Legacies.
Okay.
Yeah, because the originals were the original vampires, including the a werewolf that was the original hybrid, who was one of the original family, and then the original series followed the originals when they left that small town and moved to Louisiana to one of their roots, and then that takes most of its stuff in New Orleans, a major hotbed for vampires and most lore and stuff. And then Legacies features Hope, who is the daughter of the original vampire werewolf hybrid, and she's the main character there, and that's where Legacies comes from. I watched all the series, is why
Yeah.
I watched all three series, at least part. I haven't watched all of Legacies, but I watched all of the originals and all of Vampire Diaries. So
I've seen a few episodes of Legacies, and that's all I've seen of any of those shows. But it was pretty neat. It was pretty neat.
it is. It is in the well. I mean, we've got a few types of shows that are trending right now, and among them we've got zombie shows are trending, and vampire werewolf shows are trending, and superhero shows are trending. And in this vampire werewolf genre, um, the Vampire Diaries set of shows are quite popular. We're getting in this alternative fairy tale crossover thing, so we're not just getting vampire werewolf, but we're getting alternative fairy tale, which was extremely made popular by things like Grimm and Supernatural.
Yeah.
Grimm and Supernatural and some of those shows gave us alternative fantasy, and then we had what was it, Happily Ever After, and things like those. Uh,
Yeah.
all those kind of shows were in vogue there for a while, and
Well,
Legacies.
anyway, let's move
Yeah,
on.
yeah, we have a
So
tendency to get sidetracked.
yeah. So yeah, I think I covered everything I was wanting to say. Capcom live stream Monday, June 13th at 5
Oh
p.m.
yeah.
Central Time.
Also, one of the things I hadn't done the pop out of my chat window, so I don't know if anybody's been trying to chat at us. We get so few chatters that I didn't even think to open it today. It doesn't look like we missed any chatters. We do have a couple of regulars that come around sometimes though, so I should start that. So I just started that up. Um, Most of our viewers actually watch this later on YouTube, so we don't get a whole bunch of direct interaction, but that's okay. We're here if you do ever decide to come in, but we know how people's schedules can be. Okay, but check out that Capcom showcase and the other showcases going on this weekend.
Yeah, Summer Games Fest. Oh yeah, there's so much this week. We got Summer Games Fest and 2 Xbox things, and then Capcom, and there's probably gonna be something else that's gonna get announced here in the next few days, most likely.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, because other companies are going to come in response because they want to build on the hype themselves. Everybody wants to cash in. Usually, it becomes like a parade, one float after the other. So let's see what the next float will be. All right, now we're going to my From the Vault, and now that the Johnny Depp trial is over with, I can start covering the Johnny Depp From the Vault. And so I'm going to the one I'd said I'd wanted to cover. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, Edward Scissorhands is a phenomenal movie. It's a different take on kind of a Frankenstein kind of myth because a scientist played by Vincent Price creates an artificial life. In this case, it's Johnny Depp as Edward Scissorhands. And he created him a little bit at a time, and his hands had not gotten finished. And just as he finished building his proper humanoid hands, before he ever had a chance to attach them, the scientist had a heart attack and died. And so Edward has got these scissors for hands instead, all these blades, and he's living up in the old scientist castle. And Diane Wiest plays an Avon representative in the local suburbs who decides on a lark, because none of the suburbanites ever like buy anything from her. She decides to go up to the castle and try to sell her Avon up there, and she uncovers Edward. She discovers Edward there, and so she brings him home and makes him part of the family. And because he's got these scissors for hands, he's like really, really good with them. And he starts like trimming their hedges into like dinosaur shapes and swans and all, the whole family as a like statue portraiture in shrubbery. And then later on he starts doing dog grooming, because he starts professionally like dog grooming them, because whenever he sees something he just starts snipping, and all of a sudden super creative.
Yeah.
And then one of the neighbors decides she wants him to cut her hair, and then he does the best haircuts in the world, because they've all got these new fatty haircuts and everything. So it's a really cute story. And Winona Ryder is in it as well. And it's basically Johnny Depp's third major role in Hollywood. Of course, his first role was in Nightmare on Elm Street, where he played Nancy's boyfriend. His second real role was in TV in 21 Jump Street, and then he came in as Edward Scissorhands. And Edward Scissorhands marks his first work with soon to be one of his best friends and often collaborated with Tim Burton. And Tim Burton also brought another young actress that he had worked with on Beetlejuice, little known actress at the time, Winona Ryder. It was like her third real property. It was his second or third. I think Edward Scissorhands came out after Heathers, but it might have been before Heathers. But she really got her start on Beetlejuice. And so Johnny and Winona Ryder really got a lot of extra exposure when this show came out. And it was an absolute joy to watch. It's family friendly, fun. It shows how quickly that humans turn into lynching mobs and pitchfork brigades on things they don't understand. They always want to blame the unusual. Anthony Michael Hall is a real asshole as Winona Ryder's boyfriend in this, and uses the fact that he's so good with his blades that he can pick locks with them. And Anthony Michael Hall's got the rich parents, but they never let him use any of his rich gadgetry and stuff in his dad's study, and so they talk Edward into picking the locks, supposedly telling Edward that he had stolen stuff and they were just getting it back, but Edward actually knew that it was Anthony Michael Hall's house, but he was doing it anyway because, of course, he had the huge crush on Winona Ryder's character, and he would basically do anything she asked him to do. But it shows on a nice family friendly view, and it's really one of Tim Burton's better movies, in my opinion. I mean, Tim Burton, I'm hot and cold with Tim Burton. Some of his stuff is absolutely fantastic, like Beetlejuice and Nightmare Before Christmas and Edward Scissorhands. Some of his stuff I think he has no business touching, like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Dark Shadows and The Lone Ranger. I didn't think he had any business touching some of those. But some of them he's really...
Did Tim Burton do Lone Ranger? I know Johnny Depp did Lone
I believe
Ranger.
he did. I'm not 100% on that one. but it felt like a Tim Burton, even though it wasn't a horror. It felt like something Tim Burton did. It might not have been him, and if so, I apologize. But Lone Ranger, I don't know, but Johnny Depp had no business being in that one, and I like Johnny Depp. Don't get me wrong; he's a great actor. We've rewatched a bunch of his stuff recently. We watched The Ninth Gate, and we watched Secret Window, and we've watched a few different Johnny Depps in just the recent couple of weeks because of the trial and my girlfriend's absolute fascination with it. I rewatched the Crimes of Grindelwald, which is the one where he's featured as Grindelwald. But for those of you who don't know it, this is what the Tales from the Vaults are all about. Go back and check out Edward Scissorhands, and you can see early Johnny Depp before he became the big Hollywood star that he is now. And now that, the trial's over with, you're not being overly inundated with everything Johnny Depp, about the trial with him and Amber Heard. And instead you can see him in his early days before he became the big star that he is. But it's still a great role, and he did really well in the role. He's got a sweet innocence in the role that really lends itself to the character. Plus his total what it was, I'm thinking, almost BDSM leather fetish outfit is badass.
Yeah. This is I think this is the first time we really see Johnny Depp play the kooky, the pale kooky character type.
Well, yeah, because in Nightmare on Elm Street, he had such a small role, he died relatively quickly. And then in 21 Jump Street, he was a police officer undercover at high school, so he had to play more of the serious, just teenager.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
So, and then I was gonna say, Jesus, the director of this movie,
Tim Burton.
Director.
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. For some reason, I could not think of the word. I was trying to call him Sweeney Todd. I don't know.
And he did Sweeney Todd. That's another one he shouldn't have touched.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Tim Burton did not work on The Lone Ranger. Lone Ranger was made by the people who made the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, so it's Bruckheimer. Bruckheimer. Okay.
Others.
There's also talk that the Bruckheimer people and stuff, now that the case is over with, might actually backpedal and put Johnny to work in Pirates of the Caribbean, the next one. So
Depp says he won't do it, though.
I know Depp said he won't do it, but Bruckheimer said he might be amenable to it if he can talk Johnny into it. So who knows? But Johnny had said he wasn't going to work for Disney again, even if they gave him a bucket of money, because he had his standards. But who knows?
$1 million, $1 million alpacas.
He said not for $1 million and 1 million alpacas is I think the direct quote.
Like that. So yeah, Edward Scissorhands. I thought that was a delightful movie. I was a little confused by it sometimes when I was a little kid.
Right.
But there was like certain elements. I enjoyed it a ton as a kid, but there were certain elements that kind of confused me a little bit that when I got older made sense.
And it's much more worth it. Yeah, Lurch already corrected me on that. It was Bruckheimer.
I didn't see Bruckheimer as the...
Yeah, it was Bruckheimer.
Well, Bruckheimer was the producer.
He was the producer.
Gore Verbinski. Writers was three guys I'm not familiar with.
Johnny and Helena Bonham Carter that had nothing to do with Tim Burton.
It was Lone Ranger? Yeah. I guess it was the one collaboration with Hillary Bonham Carter and Johnny Depp that did not have Tim Burton involved.
Was Helena in that movie?
I guess so. I don't remember from it.
Yeah, she was.
I've blocked out most of that movie because he was just an insult to my Native American culture. Because I'm 75% Native American, so I just did not like him as Tonto. Anyway, Edward Scissorhands is definitely worth a see. If you haven't seen it in a few years, it's definitely worth going back and seeing again. We really enjoyed it. Yeah, and
Yeah, I know.
Cherokee's one of my.
I know. Johnny Depp is.
Oh, Johnny Depp. Yeah, Johnny Depp is actually supposed to have some Cherokee in him.
You can tell.
But
You can tell he's Native American.
but not in that movie. You can't.
Well, it's 'cause he's covered in paint.
Anyway, I've got my production assistant and girlfriend over here with her whiteboard sending me notes. So anyway, that's the Tale from the Vault. This week around, we'll see what happens next week and which old gem I can dig up from the vault. But if you're one of the younger nerd sect who hasn't had a chance to, or even if you're in the older sect and just haven't revisited it in a while, or always heard about it but never watched it, it is available on Disney Plus. I usually like to point that out. Where you can watch it. So it is on Disney Plus.
Scissorhands is on Disney Plus?
It is on Disney Plus.
Nice.
So you can go see it on Disney Plus and enjoy it. And we're going to move on now to the media section, which is usually what we like to do. The vault is right before our media section. We only really have one thing to cover this week, other than the stuff we kind of talked about during the show, various things, which is the triumphant return after yet another hiatus of Superman and Lois. And so that's what we're going to... So from this point forward, especially because this is newer content, we have to tell you spoilers abound. Because,
spoilers.
Because we don't hold back when it comes to these. And so let's go and get on with it. I rewatched it today, and it was amazing. It starts right when the last episode left off, which is, of course, the big reveal where Clark reveals to Lana that he's Superman. And then they pretty much cut the episode like right after that.
Yeah.
So they pick up right at that point. And Lana kind of works some of the stuff out in her head and says, "You're Superman. How could I have not seen it?" And he comes up with the, well, people see what they expect to see. And which is the classic thing with the magic Clark Kent glasses. Those glasses wouldn't fool anybody if it wasn't for the fact that humans see what they expect to see. If they don't look any deeper, they don't see it. And so Lana never made the connection, but then she remembers the accident they were in as kids and how he must have been the one to save them. He says, "Well, yeah, I couldn't let my friends get hurt." Yeah. And he says, "But I did get it hurt."
She's like, all the strange things that happened in Smallville, those were all you.
Yeah. And she says, and it's like, "I couldn't let my friends get hurt." She says, "But I did get hurt because you left almost right after that." And he's like, "Yeah, my mom didn't want me to share my identity in this version of Superman and Lois. His dad is dead. His mom raised him mostly. By the time of the accident, his dad had already died, and so he was his adoptive father, rather. And so Martha Kent was the only one that raised him, and she didn't want him showing his powers and stuff. And right after the accident, he left Smallville. And Lana's like, so did you ever love me? He says, "Of course, but not enough." He says, why didn't you come back for me? And he says, "I did, but you were with Kyle." Because when he came back, he, from across the street and in a little bit in the shadows, he saw her hugging Kyle, and he noticed the ring on her finger, and that's why he never finished that approach and let her know the truth later on when he came back. And at first, of course, Lana's hurt and kind of feels like betrayed, although she doesn't really portray that completely to Clark. Then later on, Lois goes to Lana to try to smooth things over, and turns out, Lana is forgiven Clark. She realizes, hey, he was just a kid when he found all this out, and he had the weight of the world on his shoulders, and she couldn't really blame him. But she blamed Lois because Lois could have come in and just been neighborly, but she sought her out and became a friend, and she felt that friendship was under false pretenses because while Lana was like using Lois as the person she calls as her confidant, her best friend type person, Lois had always kept the secret, and so Lana felt betrayed because she didn't share the secret. And this is something I think me and Lurch both agree that a lot of people, although we see it happening in the comics all the time and in the movies and the TV shows and stuff, it's not reasonable for Lana to have felt that way, because just because you're a confidant for somebody doesn't mean that they are absolutely obligated to tell you anything and everything in their life too. They are able to keep especially other people's secrets, or what's considered dangerous secrets, or secrets that protect somebody. They are allowed to do that. Yes, they can share them. That doesn't mean they're obligated to, and it is not a betrayal not to. People have rights to privacy. Even actors do, believe it or not. but we ignore that all the time. And so I think Lana was in the wrong expecting that.
Yeah.
But
I like how, Lois didn't call that out at Lana, but she did,
to Clark. She's like,
verbalized it to the Clark. She's like, well, how is it fair that she's more mad at me than she is at you?
She's like, yeah, it's another case of women holding women to a higher standard than men. And it's true. A lot of women do hold each other to a higher standard than men, because they underrate some of our male emotional growth, and they expect more from women. And of course, also, when a woman decides to get vindictive, she's very vindictive, and that's not sexist at all. It's just the fact. There is no fury like a woman scorned. And that's not to say that men can't be pure evil when we want to be. We're just too lazy usually to do it. Anyway, then the boys Jonathan's been allowed back to school. So they go to school, not believing that that's the entire encounter that Clark had with Lana, that she didn't really say anything after the big reveal. And of course, Jordan wants to know if she's going to tell Sarah or not. And that wasn't even brought up initially. It is later on when Lois specifically tells Lana that she is free to make the choice of who she tells. And at the end of the episode, Lana gets told about her doppelganger and how she was trying to merge with her, and she's warned that her doppelganger might come back. And Lana has now forgiven both Clark and Lois. However, she has decided to put distance between her and the Kents, her family and the Kents family, because she doesn't want to have to feel like she needs to lie to her children every time they're together.
Yep.
And so, or to Kyle, because even though she's broken up with Kyle, she's never lied to Kyle before the time that she goes to go meet up with Lois. When Lois messaged her, she told Kyle it was her assistant. Although she could have said she was meeting with Lois, just not told him why. So that was really her decision to lie. It was not Lois telling her to lie. But she felt like she needed to lie. The boys go back to school, and what's her name? John Henry's
going back to school. They go to the school premises and then immediately leave.
Well, I was about to get to that. John Henry's daughter, which I can't think of the name of right now.
Natalie?
Natalie. Yeah. Natalie convinces the two boys to immediately ditch and takes them to her place, where she shows them that she has started developing another super suit, like John Henry Steele's suit. And they're like, wow, was that for you? And she says, well, originally, but then she decides that she's going to gift it to Jonathan because among its other abilities, it should prevent any involuntary merging, which should protect him from his doppelganger. But it's not finished yet. She still needs to get a working power source, which is, of course, X-Kryptonite. And so she needs the boys' help to harvest the X-Kryptonite. And so they go on a field trip to the mines to harvest the X-Kryptonite. Clark spends most of the episode trying to figure out a way to destroy the pendant. And he goes and he talks to Jonathan L., as opposed to Jonathan Kent. His alternate is Jonathan L.
Yeah.
And then he talks to John Henry and his father-in-law, and they say that it's nearly indestructible, that Superman cannot generate enough power by himself to destroy it. Superman goes then to his brother and talks with him, and he actually reveals that he has been over to the other side, to the Bizarro world, and he says, would it surprise you to know that, you saved my son's life? He says, not at all. In any other universe but this one, we would be the best of friends, because that's completely what he believes. And he convinces Clark that the only way that he's going to be accepted is not by proving himself to Clark, but he has to prove himself to Lois. And then Clark, of course, is enlisting his help to destroy the amulet because he believes their two powers together could probably do it. And so he brings his brother to the farm, and he has flowers for Lois, and the whole thing is introduced, and Lois is originally having nothing to do with it. She's like, nope, don't trust you. What about, the fact that you tried to kill and kidnap my kids, or you rewrote my article? And he's like, I told you she'd bring this up. I love the I told you so's in the middle of that confrontation.
Yeah.
And then, of course, John Henry and the father-in-law show up, and Clark and the brother get ready to leave, and Lois says, nope, you're not going anywhere. She basically wants them to be involved with the discussion too. And they get all upset, says, we wouldn't have told you this if we knew you were going to go directly to your brother. You can't trust him. But they end up having a big end battle with, what's the bad girl's name? I can't remember the name, the cult leader.
Oh,
I can never think of her name when we're on the show. I can think of it when we're not doing our show. It's when we're in the show I can never think of the name.
I know who, yeah.
Everybody
She shows up.
Yeah, and she shows up, and they have a climactic... Allie. That's right, Allie. And they have a climactic battle, and she turns out to have the ability to absorb the Kryptonian's power to make herself stronger. So she's like doing this power siphon on Clark's brother, mainly. But they break away, and they combine their power to destroy the amulet. So they do destroy the amulet, so no more merging can happen right now, although there is hints that there's another way. And she gets away. They didn't want to close the portal because Clark made the point that all the people on the Bizarro world would be left defenseless because, of course, his double is gone and Allie is practically a god over there. Not to mention, Jonathan L. is over in our world, the Prime world, and he would feel bad if he didn't make it back to his family. Because, that's how Clark thinks. He thinks of everybody. He must save everybody, even though John Henry points out that, you can't save everybody. And his father points out that we got to protect our own first. But Clark is never one for taking the easy way out. He's got to protect everybody. That's the Superman way. It's just how he's always been portrayed, really. And so, in fact, I think that's one of the most defining characteristics of Superman. It's not the powers. It's not the glasses. It's not anything else. I think it's the absolute ultimate Boy Scout thing of he has to try to protect everybody. And so that was the big thing here, and they really highlighted that in this episode. So much is going on. And in the final scenes, we have Allie talking to the Lana of Bizarro World. And she says, okay, so Lana's like, so all's lost. And she's like, and Allie's like, nope, not necessarily. There's another way. And she visits Clark's brother in that world. And we pretty much, although we don't directly see it, we get the hint that she basically siphons his power till he's drained completely and gone. And that's pretty much where we cut the episode. So a lot of intensity. Now, if I forgot anything, that's where Lurch comes in, because I usually do a really heavy synopsis because I've watched it most recently, and then you fill in any blanks I might have forgot.
I remember, did you get the part about the kids, the boys, going to the underground mine with Natalie, and they're trying to cut up some
X-kryptonite, and she was saying she wished she had her dad's cutting tool.
Yeah,
and then Jordan's like, let's try this.
He uses heat vision to try to do it quickly, and it causes the cave to collapse in them.
And then and Jordan has to save them.
Jordan barely gets two of them out, in time, but they lose their bag with the equipment in it.
Yeah, but then they're at home and they're like kind of reminiscing about the exciting adventure they went on when John Henry gets home, and then is what's all this? And they're like, nothing, just some family bonding. Yeah. So okay, you want to stay for dinner? Yeah. And then they're like, okay, well, text your folks, and then you can help make it. And Natalie's like, saw that coming. And then we see Clark and Lois over at Lana's, and that's when they're telling Lana about the doppelganger, and that's when Lana requests that they have just a clean break between their two families for now, because she doesn't want to always be lying because whenever she has to deal with the Kents. Yeah, and that's pretty much the end of the episode.
I get the feeling that she wants to separate their families, which sounds, from
that's what she says. And she wants to have a clean break, which is going to hurt Jordan and Sarah. I mean, even though Sarah's already broke up with Jordan, it's going to prevent Jordan from, one, being able to approach Sarah and reveal his secret, which we know he's going to do. We totally know this. Yeah. And that's going to probably be, if it's not the next episode, it's going to be the episode afterwards, I think. It's going to be by the end of the season for sure. And
I think you're right.
Flash and Superman and Lois are set to, with their breaks and everything. Supposedly, it's supposed to line them up so that they will have their finales on the same night. So they're going to both come, even though they started at different times. They're supposed to end on the same week, according to the current schedule. And we still don't know when Stargirl's going to start up. But that's kind of where we're at as far as the CW goes. I don't know if there's another Flash next week or if it's a week after. But
keeping track.
Yeah,
we got Obi-Wan Kenobi. We got the boys.
Yeah, and I still haven't watched Obi-Wan Kenobi yet. When I went to go watch that, I noticed something else I'd been wanting to rewatch was dropped on Disney, and I got distracted. And it's not one that everybody in the nerd community is into, but I am.
think
Glee
I think
dropped
I
on,
think
on Disney.
what's that dropped on Disney?
Glee.
Glee. I think Miss Marvel drops tomorrow.
Miss Marvel drops tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I will be watching that basically sometime after midnight tonight. Whenever it actually premieres. I think it premieres something like 4 a.m. or something, which is when I get up for dialysis, which means by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning I will be watching Miss Marvel. In fact, I will probably watch Miss Marvel before I even check to see if The Flash has got another episode. But Miss Marvel is definitely one of the things we're going to be watching. I have to catch up on because I'm rewatching the first season of The Boys. Then I got to watch the second season of The Boys before I can even get into the third season, because I started to watch the first episode of the third season right after you reminded me. That's what I had been forgetting all this weekend. But I was like, oh God, I don't remember where we left off. So I'm jumping back and rewatching the whole thing. And it's great to binge them anyway, to watch them all in sequence without the time between. And it's such a great show for being about the bloodiest massacre on TV.
Yeah.
These are bloody fucking superheroes. I mean,
Yeah.
From the very first episode when A-Train runs through Hubie's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Through. Splash of blood and hands is all was left.
Yeah.
That just,
with so much force, he was just obliterated.
That just personifies this show.
Yeah.
That scene there tells you all you need to know about the show. So if you're into the gory alternative side to superhero legends, this is a show for you. If you like your superheroes to all be good and sweet and noble, this is not for you. And it is definitely not for kids. I'm not saying that teenage boys wouldn't love it, but it's technically not for kids.
Yeah.
Teenage boys would probably love the shit out of it. Teenage girls, it depends on the girl. But teenage boys mostly would love it. And these are, of course, stereotypes. There are differences to all stereotypes.
Yeah.
So don't let me think I'm painting everybody with the same brush. But in general, nurture-wise, we have programmed our children in certain stereotypes still, even though we try not to. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, are we wrapping up early today? Because I think that's the only show.
That's the only thing we had to cover. Because we were going to talk Dumbledore, but you didn't get a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
Because you caught The Boys, and then I haven't got to watch the new season of The Boys, so we can't really cover that yet. And I haven't touched Obi-Wan, so we can't cover that yet. I did watch Sonic 2.
Oh yeah, Sonic 2.
That was amazeballs. That was great. I liked how they did with Knuckles, and I love Jim Carrey. He's even better as Robotnik in this one than he was in the last one.
Yeah, this movie, I love the first movie. I love this one even more. Oh,
Jim Carrey, this is the good role for him. It really is.
You know, this is a good role for Jim Carrey. I was gonna say something I really appreciated is there are certain details that are fantastic nods to the games.
Right.
Like Sonic, between Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, in the games, Sonic's the only one who can't swim. Mm-hmm. He's the one that drowns.
Yep.
Tails can swim up. Knuckles can swim, and he can climb out. You know, the show had him gliding and stuff too. So, it's great, and I like how Tails is the inventor, and he's got the little gadgets and stuff. Shamar Moore, it was interesting to see Shamar Moore in it,
playing the fiance of what's the name's wife's sister.
Yeah.
Shamar Moore is, of course, talked earlier about Criminal Minds. He was on Criminal Minds for the first like 13 seasons as Derek Morgan. He's a character from Criminal Minds, an actor, and he's a great actor. Not to mention he's one of those hunky heartthrobs that a lot of the girls like to watch. But and he plays very similar character here because here is a special forces character. He likes to play those military special forces because when he left Criminal Minds, he went to SWAT, the TV series. You know, so he's very much and in Criminal Minds, before he joined the behavioral analysis unit, he was a police officer. So he went from police to FBI, where some are lawyers before they go in the BAU, some are scientists before they come to the BAU, some are psychologists. You know, he actually was a police officer, then moved to the BAU. So he always plays he's the kick down the door guy that does that part of the scenes all the time. He teaches physical fitness and martial arts and guns and everything in the FBI training classes. So he was great in that as well. But I liked the animation. I liked the characterization of the movie. I liked the story. I like the little fun about him giving a ring to his buddy to take a honeymoon in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then mixing up the ring with the wedding ring and everything. Those were cute. Those were nice little side things that added to it.
Dude, there was like a whole 5-minute scene with the bride being really pissed off and chasing down the groom and blowing shit up and everything, and that had nothing to do with the main plot of the movie, and
just had to do with Bridezilla. It was Bridezilla.
It didn't any of the main characters, but it was so damn funny that
it was hugely worth it. Yes.
Yeah. I was like, this doesn't advance the plot.
And then Shamar
doesn't feature any of the main characters. These are just side characters that are only in the movie for a few minutes. But damn, this shit.
And Shamar Moore is like, what a woman, because she just totally intimidating. And sometimes it takes an intimidating woman to take a strong man and bring him to his knees. And he's like, what a woman.
Yeah.
And he's like, I broke the first rule of undercover work. You're not supposed to fall in love with your mark. But he did. No, it was great, and actually has me looking forward to the TV series, and when they eventually do it, because they're going to try. They got to do a Sonic 3. Probably after the first season of the TV series.
Yeah, they are doing the Sonic 3. And I'm going to play the games that I feel like are most closely going to
link to the movies.
To the movie, most linked to the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which, since watching the second movie, I did go back and finally finish playing, or I beat Sonic Mania. Because I bought it and I played a little bit of the first level and was like, damn, this is awesome. It was the first couple of levels in the past. But then, for whatever reason, I just wasn't really into the Sonic thing. And then after watching the movie, I was like, I gotta play Sonic Mania. And so I started a new game, and then played it through, and it was freaking great. It's a good.
I gotta look in my game collection. It might be worth setting my PlayStation up because I think I've got the PlayStation Sonic collection.
Yeah?
I think I do. I think I bought it at one point. And I love the Sonic games. Those are side-scroller action-adventure games like Jackson Daxter and Ratchet and Clanks and Banjo-Kazooie and Crash Bandicoot. Those are my kind of games. I love those.
So Sonic Mania is the newest side scroller
Mm-hmm.
2D Sonic game, and it does remixes of a handful of old like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 stages,
Uh-huh.
like Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 stages. It has a few of those stages that are remixed a little bit with some
Mm-hmm.
new things. And then plenty of new levels. And it was just a damn good game.
Oh, speaking of, did you get a chance to watch Chip and Dale?
That is the Disney movie, or is that Disney movie? That's HBO movie.
That's Disney movie.
This Disney movie? Okay. Squirrel was talking to me the other day about it was like Sunday or something, and she's like, "Let's watch that Disney movie we're wanting to watch." And I was like, "What Disney movie?"
And you couldn't think of it. Yeah, because I told you about it last week.
Last Tuesday, after you and I did our show, I talked to her about it, and then we planned on watching it on the weekend. And then we got to the weekend, and she was asking me about watching the movie, and I forgot. And I was like, "I don't know what movie you're talking about."
It's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. It's on Disney Plus. So try to remember this week, and we'll talk about it next week.
Try. Gosh. Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger?
Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, Rescue Ranger. Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger.
Yeah, and it's
about
in the
chipmunks, not strippers.
Yeah.
Strippers.
Yeah.
What was named first, the strip club or the cartoon?
The strippers came first.
Did they?
Yeah, and before that, it was a furniture manufacturer.
Oh.
But yeah, Chippendale's was a fine furniture, and then it was the Chippendale Dancers, and then Disney came out with the Chippendale Rescue Rangers cartoon series.
Yeah.
And it was quite popular. And then this was like kind of a really anticipated movie reprisal, and it looks like it's gonna possibly even hit off its own series afterwards. We don't know, but it's really good, and it does bring back a bunch of the old characters. So basically, all the characters from the original cartoon are in it, and at some point or another. Not to mention various cameos from people like Roger Rabbit and Pinocchio, or not Pinocchio, Peter Pan. So, anyway.
Oh, did you see the trailer for Pinocchio? There's a new live-action Pinocchio starring Tom Hanks as
no.
The puppet maker.
Tom Hanks as Geppetto? Tom Hanks plays Geppetto?
Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to have to look that up.
Last night.
I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are killing time, but it is like 6 minutes to the end of our show, so we can go ahead and cut it here.
Yeah. I'm tired, and
you have to do more work today.
Anyway.
You said, yeah, and you probably need to grab a bite to eat too. You usually do.
I do.
I can finish my sandwich maybe. I also ended up not being able to run dialysis on Monday, so I'm not in great shape. I infiltrated, which means my needle popped out of the vein and tried to go into the muscle tissue instead.
Ouch.
Yeah, it does that once in a while, and then they can't run you that day. So I'm going on 5 days without treatment.
There you go.
So
okay.
I got to do treatment tomorrow for sure. And they have to be able to run me tomorrow, because if not, they'll have to probably take me to the hospital. So they better be able to run me. Not to mention, I've got my best gay is in the hospital right now in ICU. I had told you about with the stroke, possible stroke and pneumonia and stuff. And it's all basically from when she had COVID several months back.
Yeah.
Is a big part of it. And so this is the reason I think more and more people need to get their vaccinations, is just because the loved ones that you potentially affect. But anyway, we're not going to dwell on that. We're going to go ahead and say goodnight for the night. Think positive thoughts.
Good night for the night.
Good night for the night to the night. It's night. All right. Anyway, may your dice rolls grant you 20s, not ones. May your combos be epic. And don't forget the fatality. Finish him.
Have a good night.
Game over.
Bye.
Bye.